Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by SmartThings. SmartThings lets you control and monitor your home from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. To get started, visit smartthings.com/twit and you'll save 10% off any home security or solution kit when you use the code TWIT10 at checkout. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 189, recorded on Tuesday, November 25th, 2014. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
And welcome. We are Sans Gina.
We are Gina-less.
Yep. This is the part of our show where we say whether we're all here or we're all not here.
Right, it is. Yes, a drink if you're keeping track at home.
I should actually insert this into the doc.
Yeah, it's like host status.
Yes, discussion about status of hosts in or out of studio.
I'm happy to say that I am much more well-rested after last week.
Good.
After that, I also shaved. So
you haven't flown to outer space.
I haven't flown. I enjoyed the people commenting about my endorsement of Harry's while being horribly unshaven after a week in England.
That was you looking forward to the shave.
I was so excited. I was shaved that night. It was so exciting. It was wonderful. It was so smooth with my Harry's razor. They're not even sponsoring this episode.
I know.
So there you go.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
We are thrilled to welcome back in Gina's place. Of course, nobody can really take Gina's place, but we will try because Derek Ross is awesome, writer at Fandroid. How's it going, Derek?
Wonderful, good. Great to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Excellent. I noticed you're not wearing Google Glass this time.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about Glass in a little bit. I haven't worn Glass that much the past 2 months.
Well, I don't think you're alone.
That's what they call a tease in the business.
Right.
So there you go.
Starting off with a bang. We've got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to be discussing the Nexus Player, a.k.a. the hockey puck. We have it right here in studio. Just got it, so we've hardly played with it. So
I can't wait to play with it.
Show it off on show. We have a love-hate list for Lollipop that should be interesting since we all have it. You got it last week.
I finally got it late last week, so I've been playing with it over the weekend, trying to get get my bearings straight.
Yeah, excellent. So, patent wars that seem to be fizzling between Apple and Google. More signs that Glass is fading, as we just alluded to, and more. But before we get into the news, remember way back when Google rolled out their Android ad campaign, and we wondered on the show whether it was going to be kind of a big deal or if it was going to be limited to just the geeks and everything. Well, now there's a gigantic Android billboard in Times Square. So I think maybe we can say that this is about as big an ad campaign.
I don't know how much I can talk about with this, but I don't think I'm under NDA. But yeah, but they
Whoa.
Well, no, because
I don't know what we stumbled on.
No, because at my day job, we sell books on the Google Play Store, and they actually contacted us telling us that they are building this big, Android-based Times Square thing, and they wanted to get permission to use some artwork from some of our comics. Ultimately, they decided that The Walking Dead wasn't family friendly enough to put up in Times Square.
So like possibly making Androidify Walking Dead characters?
Well, no, I think the idea is around the. I don't know, but I would never say whatever.
I don't want you to get in trouble.
I knew they
Ron.
were doing something Android related and Google Play related and Android. Basically doing this presence in Times Square. And it's starting to happen. So
I love
it's kind
it.
of interesting.
I love the campaign. I think the campaign is really good.
Yeah.
It's really well done. It gives me that kind of giddy feeling that South Park back in the early days did. Probably because
that's an interesting.
From the animation standpoint, kind of like it's a cute style of animation. It only really looks like South Park animation, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Like I don't know. I like it. What do you think, Derek? Do you think this is a win for Google?
That's not the first time I've heard the whole South Park reference. Like, I love the whole marketing campaign, so I talk about it from time to time. And every time I do, somebody comments like, every time I look at it, all I see is South Park characters. And I do too, but I don't care. This is a great marketing campaign because in the past, I really can't recall an Android marketing campaign from Google. So to go from pretty much nothing to full blown like this, this is great. Like it really is great. I'm very excited to see how far they really take this.
Yeah. I suppose South Park Jib Jab is another.
With the arms and the mouths and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's even a possibility. I feel like I read at some point yesterday that on this Times Square thing, you can actually submit, and yes, you can. You can do this through the Google site. You can submit your own Androidified characters and potentially get them up on the wall in Times Square.
Again, I remember them saying there's some interactive element to it, which is interesting to see how it evolves. And which, if they're putting up now, here we are at the end of November, beginning of December, holiday season, New York City, Times Square, that's not cheap.
I know.
And also, talk about visible. If it's in the right spot on New Year's Eve, you got millions and millions of people who are going to see that. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. So from marketing to news, let's go.
Keep that keister in your chair. The top stories of the week are coming up in Android news.
I'm amazed that you never stumble.
Oh, he stumbled. He's more prepared this
stumbled.
week. But last week was a pretty big stumble.
I appreciate you not noticing.
There's a lot of things I don't notice.
Yeah. I'm noticing. I'm keeping track. I have a little scorecard here.
At least
I have a
he's paying
spreadsheet.
attention.
Graphs.
All right. So let's see here. From thermonuclear war to a deal that could signal the end of the Apple-backed Rockstar's patent war on Android. This is something that's been going on for years at this point, since 2011, when Apple helped create Rockstar after banding together with Microsoft, BlackBerry, Ericsson, and Sony to go after Google and some others. Not only that, it looks like instead of selling Rockstar to other would-be patent trolls, Apple might instead disband it altogether, signaling what seems to be a shift in its patent litigation policies. No figures are given with the deal, and neither Google nor Apple would comment on it, but court filings show across-the-board patent settlements extending outside of just Google. Time Warner Cable, for example, there was a settlement there just, I believe, last week. Consumers obviously win in this scenario, since the cost of litigation wouldn't then be tied into the cost of a device. So thermonuclear war suddenly resolved in peace, apparently.
Sometimes that happens.
That happens in war.
Yeah, it happened at the
Suddenly
end of
the war is done.
It happened at the end of War Games.
It's true. Would you like to play a game? So cool. So this is good for all involved, right? Do we think that really this is the end of the Apple going after Google for patent stuff?
I would love to think that. I hope so. I mean, it's been going on for so long, and consumers, people that are fans, people in the mobile industry are really tired of seeing another patent lawsuit. It's almost, it happens all the time, and unfortunately, associating Apple with patent trolling isn't new. So yeah, I'm tired of it. I want it to be over with. I do understand that companies do need to protect their intellectual property, though. So it probably won't be the end, but I really hope so. I mean, I really do. I think that all this is doing is stifling, innovation, really.
Mm-hmm. And they're all sharing with each other at this point. Something we've talked about plenty of times. I mean, and also just kind of the development of innovation in smartphones has really kind of flattened out in the past year, particularly. I mean, specs get higher, but that's kind of about it at this point, right?
And you see the innovation shifting to wearables.
Yeah.
You see that's really now the new battleground.
So we might see some
watch
reactivated patent trolling in the case of wearables.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, but I think we've got, I don't want to say we figured out the phone, but the key elements have been kind of established, the home button and things like that, or lack of a button.
When was the iPhone 1 introduced?
2007.
2007. So, I mean, we're 7 years later. The phone's finally found its ground, found its footing, and now we're embarking on a new world of wearables.
Yeah, they've already copied, Android enough that they don't need to litigate anymore, right?
Oh, you think that's it?
Just poking the bear.
I understand. Well, speaking of wearables,
so speaking of wearables
and innovation,
and of an earlier tease, really wondering what the future of Glass looks like now. With Google Glass being such a strong initiative and us seeing, Sergey Brin wearing it, wearing the glass everywhere, but lately he hasn't been wearing it as much. Developers are losing interest, and there's people complaining that there's not a real market for the product. Many employees at Google that helped bring Glass to life have now left the company. The Glass funding consortium that was put up together by Google Ventures has pretty much quietly folded, and their site points to the Google Glass site. And then also now there's news that the Google Glass stores that were opened by Google are now closing, and the Glass base camps aren't making any more appointments. So you really got to wonder what's going on here with Google Glass. Now, the Glass head of business operations, Chris O'Neill, told Reuters, "We are committed as ever to a consumer launch. That is going to take time, and we're not going to launch this product until it's absolutely ready." And people familiar with the plan say that the consumer launch is expected in 2015 at this point. So is this what's the word I'm looking for, where it gets smaller, where they pull in? Is this kind of pullback part of the going quiet before building up to the consumer launch? Or is this spelling the end of Glass?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it could go either way. But Derek, you have been, you've been all over Google Plus the last couple of years, wearing your Glasstronaut. I prefer Glasstronaut over the other phrase.
The other term?
Yeah,
Right.
which we
I'll give
won't
you
say.
that. Okay.
So I don't know. What do you think? You're obviously not wearing. Well, okay. I was just going to say you weren't wearing it, but you threw it on to.
I'll take it back off.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to ruin that for you. Yeah. So yeah, So the past 2 months, I really haven't worn Glass. But before we get to that, I really think that them closing the base camps is kind of the natural progression. They're not. I mean, when Glass becomes a consumer product, if it becomes a consumer product, Google isn't going to want to have just 3 base camps, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in New York City, and expect everybody to travel all over the place. That's really not their business model. I mean, their business model is to sell on the Google Play Store, which Glass is already available in the Explore form on the Play Store. So they really don't need the base camp, which was set up in place for when nobody knew what Glass was, when it was brand new, nobody knew how to use it, and there was no really any information out there. So they had to do something to get these new, explorers, beta testers such as myself, to be able to go somewhere to learn and to get their product. So I really think that's the natural progression, going from a beta product to a consumer product. But yeah, the past 2 months, I haven't worn Glass at all. Last time I wore it, I went to an event, and I pretty much really only wore it because everybody in my town would have been like, "Oh, why isn't he wearing Glass? I never seen without Glass. Who are you?" So I really think I really only wore it because everyone was going to expect me to. I don't know. I don't know if the honeymoon phase is over, or I'm just getting. There hasn't really been any major new advancements with the product lately, and that's fine because they could be moving up to a consumer product. But I really like Android Wear. I mean, I'm wearing the Moto 360 right now. I've been wearing that since release. The interface is completely different than Glass, obviously, but it's just so much. I don't know. I want to say it's easier, but it's more seamless and more natural, I think, than Glass. And I love where Glass will go someday, but. I think, and I'd like to hope that Google's, pulling everything in. Whoops. Okay, Google apparently made my phone talk.
Well, and you just set off Ron.
But I hope
something, right?
Is pulling everything in before they, go hard with a consumer product. I hope, and who knows, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of the timing of it, right? Like, okay, so now we're 3 years. And almost 3 years since we first heard about Glass. Glass as a product really hasn't evolved a whole lot in and of itself. It looks the same, and by and large, one major criticism that people that aren't comfortable with Glass have about it is that it looks invasive, it looks intimidating, and that's something that I think from a consumer standpoint, if it's going to be widely accepted, has to be addressed. It has to look a little bit less
natural.
Creepy,
and I still believe the consumer version is going to look totally different than the beta product. I mean,
I hope so.
I really think that they've been learning, hopefully, from public opinion as well as users like myself over the past couple years, and chances are that the final product isn't going to look anything like what we have now. I mean, I would hope that. Obviously, I don't have any information on that, but one would assume that's the progression.
Yeah, I think when the book is written, when the eventual book about Google and wearables or whatever, when whoever goes around running it, I think that the progression between the Android Wear and Google Glass, it's almost as if they got the order mixed up. Where I feel like, Android Wear was the right progression for as a society
for right now.
For right now. And Glass might be, or a Glass-like thing might be the thing in 5 years or whatever. I think Google Glass was really, really ahead of its time. And if it goes away for longer than a year, it's saying consumer launch 2015 or later, and it comes back when we're kind of prepared and ready for it, I think that's kind of what, that to me seems more probable. Also seeing the innovations they're doing with contact lenses and things like that, where it becomes less invasive, more kind of natural, but, and that requires more, development, more research. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We'll see.
Totally ahead of its time. Yeah, the long view of this could be, and I think a lot of people, particularly people who have kind of bought into the concept of glass, could be that, 5, 10, even 15 years from now, we look back and we realize how important the launch of glass at an early stage was to the development of what it turns into eventually. And I can only imagine that kind of technology is embedded in the things you already wear, that it's an option, and integrated in a way that isn't so, and that's, I think, what's so successful about Wear, right? People are used to watches. People are used to wearing watches.
Exactly,
and the utility of having a watch on your wrist, it's not this thing that you have to remember to always put on your face and broadcast to the world that you're wearing just for the, the convenience or whatever the benefits of it are. For me, it was just kind of video recording, which isn't a good enough value proposition for a $1,500 product.
Well, I think the other interesting story will be the beta testing and usage data that came out of this experiment. How many people got glasses? Became glastronauts or whatever you want to call them. And how much of that data was sent back to Google and for them to learn about? I was not one of the blessed, but Derek, did you provide feedback back to Google in a proactive manner?
Yeah. So from time to time, we would get surveys to answer, little questionnaires, and they always heavily monitored all the conversations that were going on social media, as well as the official, Glass community. So, yeah, they definitely did take a lot of feedback, as well as, monitoring, which apps we're using and how we're using them. So, yeah, we might see this turn into, something that'll eventually show up in a smart glass on a smart car from Google or something like that in the future. Who knows? Maybe they'll turn it into some futuristic product with self-driving cars and Android Wear or something. I don't know. They have a lot of data. They're going to do something with it.
Yeah, I don't think this story is over. Basically,
right.
I think that I think that right now is a bit of a wind down or a bit of a fade out. But I think that this is Act 1. I feel as if there could be many more acts, and in a year or two, we're going to read a Wired article about the genius of the Google Glass Explorer program and what it gave Google.
Exactly.
So
what it led
to.
And
remember, Android itself is a phone operating system, or didn't become successful in a year or two either. It took it multiple years to become the juggernaut that it is today. So and who knows what will happen? Like you guys said, 5 years from now, maybe we'll see a completely different product. It won't even be related to glass. But they'll use a similar, interface or the data in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Yeah. Cool stuff. All right. Switching gears a little bit, users have been complaining, as users like to do.
Complaining? No.
Particularly Android users.
Entitlement? What?
Complaining about system slowdown on Lollipop devices the longer it's on without a restart. In fact, Android Police's Artem Rosikovsky had complained about this on Google+. These are users of Nexus 7 devices, also Nexus 5. A lot of people using Nexus 5 are reporting this. Android should be managing background processes automatically, closing those apps as the system needs more resources, but memory management could be an issue in Lollipop. I know I've encountered this on my 5.
Okay.
I feel like I'm back into that world of requiring a restart every once in a while just to feel fresh again, and I couldn't tell if it was if it was just in my head or real. But when I read this, I was like, okay, I'm not alone.
Isn't that the best feeling, by the way? Isn't that the best feeling when Like the other
But
day,
it's still an issue. So
when I was
it's not that
complaining,
great
when I was complaining about Pocket Cast randomly stopping,
Yeah.
and I think it was fellow or previous guest was like, "Oh yeah, me too." I was like, "Oh, thank God, it's not just me."
Right.
But
Yes.
yeah,
Misery loves company. Is what you're saying.
I have not experienced this, but I don't think I've been on Lollipop long enough to attest to it. You know.
Well, this actually goes back to one thing that I've noticed in Lollipop, and and I can actually hold on. Let's see here. I can show it off. Is that the multitasking view? Let's see here. We'll go into it, Brian, if you want to take that.
I love I can tell by the angle of Brian's head when he's paying attention or not.
He was looking at a different.
Yeah, he was
different
doing
screen.
something else. It wasn't like he's not doing anything.
So I've cleared it recently, but check
wow,
out
look at that.
all of my recent apps, right?
Whoa.
And that's because this.
Sir.
No. What it is, it's actually different. Lollipop treats this differently. It survives a reboot.
Oh.
So you can reboot, and then when you come back on, your recent apps are still going to be in that list. On old versions of Android, you could clear things from your recent apps list, and in some ways, it's basically relieving that process from the system, or at least that's what I've read. And I felt like that actually worked in some ways. If I felt like things were kind of getting bogged down, swipe them away from there, and it would kind of relieve things. I do wonder if this new kind of method of doing it in Lollipop is effectively over time hurting performance. I don't know. What do you guys think? Possible. I mean,
I've definitely seen some sort of, I don't know if it's just in my head, like you said, Jason, or not, but now that we see other people talking about it, I unfortunately after like a day or two, I'm like, kind of slowing down a little bit. Let's give the old faithful reboot, and then it seems faster, so. I haven't done any digging into it personally to see if if apps are really getting excessively killed or not excessively killed, or if all the persistent recents showing up even after a reboot is causing performance issues. But it from time to time it seems like it definitely. And like I said, no scientific testing, but it definitely seems like something's going on.
Well, and I was gonna say it's interesting because I'm looking at on the settings under apps. It's got the processes that are running. I should change my brightness, but you can see it on Jason's. You got the processes that are running, how long they've been running, and how much memory they're taking. And honestly, I don't know what the right distribution amongst my memory is. Like right here, like so.
Or how much of
like,
an impact these stats have.
Yeah. So
based
this
on
black bar is system memory, which is taking up 703 meg of RAM. The green bar is apps, which is taking up 678 of RAM, and the gray is free memory, and I've got about 478. And I've been watching mine. These numbers fluctuate constantly. And I just watched Pocket Cast restart. I watched Messenger restart, but it says Messenger's been running for 18 hours, or 18 days. I don't know, is that 18 hours? Yeah. Path's been running for 54 hours. Like I haven't used Path in days. So it's kind of interesting to see how that kind of just watching the numbers fluctuate, and I don't know what the right distribution is,
and how much of an impact that has directly. And when I say I see slowdown, like I see these kinds of things that I recognized back when I was on the Galaxy Nexus, where I'd tap to go home, and it would pause, then it would go home, but my home screen's empty, and then suddenly things kind of appear.
Yes. That happens
and that hasn't happened to me in a really long time.
That's been happening to me on
since
Lollipop.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening to me too.
It doesn't happen every time, but it's definitely happening.
Yes.
And I notice it more and more, and then I reboot because that's my like knee-jerk reaction from when I was on the Galaxy Nexus, and that seems to fix the problem for a while. Now, someone in the chat room is saying, those recent apps, they're not all running, and you're right, they're not all running actively. Right. But when they're in that list, on the old versions of Android, that would mean that they could be running. Like the system, that's what I was talking about earlier, as far as the system being good at kind of managing the background processes and relieving them when they could. You could kind of take a little bit of control on that by swiping them directly. And all I'm saying is that list is mighty long. How do I know which of those is running and eating up resources potentially and not? And is that part of the reason that we're seeing these slowdowns? I don't know.
And I always thought, like I said, I could be wrong, but I always thought that you really didn't want to swipe away all of the apps. You wanted to have them still at least partially running in the background. That's why apps started up so fast on Android, because they were always running and all the memory was allocated, to the process that actually needed it at the time. So if you have your I don't know, your calculator app running in the background and you're browsing Google Plus and you switch over to calculator, it automatically starts because it was already, it had a stub running in the background. I always thought that that's why Android was so fast at launching apps. So that's almost kind of contradicting to what I thought on how things used to work. So I'd really like to know more about it. Somebody smarter than me at its system processes needs to dig into it and let us all know.
Well, this sounds like a good entry point into our time
really
with
does.
Lollipop and kind of what is working for us and what isn't working for us.
Yeah, so good discussion to have because we've all played around with Lollipop. You've had it, I think, the shortest amount of time, but you got it last week.
Late last week.
Okay.
And it's been good. It's been positive so far. It's been, it definitely felt new. It felt different. You know what I mean? And I didn't have any of the dev installs or anything like that. So it took a little bit of getting used to and a little kind of, the interactions and the animations and things like that. I do have to say, just to start things off, the new notifications, the whole new notification system and the panes and all that sort of stuff are fantastic. I'm really liking them, although I hate them on the lock screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How the lock screen has the ability, which is a neat kind of function where within the lock screen where you can say how much information do you show. I want that on the app level. So, for example, it's not block everything.
Equally.
It's too much because what happens is that when you have it on, everything, every text message that comes through, and that's what I want to avoid. I don't want just have my phone on my desk at work and somebody texts me so I can see that, but I do want to see when I'm using Pocket Casts, I want to be able to control the podcast I'm listening to. When you dial it down a notch, all you see is Pocket Cast is running. You have no controls. So apps work differently on that notification pane. That not all apps are made the same. And so that's kind of that was one kind of first area of frustration that I ran into.
Sure.
Now, Ron, if you hold in on the notification, it brings up a little gear and a little information icon. If you hit the information, the little eye, it brings you to the app notification, and you can choose to show priority, to show sensitive, or to block that application. So I think that is what exactly you were asking for. So that is there, I believe.
There you go. That might address it. See, and that's just use over time. So let me, if I adjust it then.
That's something that not everybody knows. Who's going to sit there and hold it in, hold their notification in for a second. So I'm in the settings and on sound and notification, when device is locked, you've got three options: show all notification content, hide sensitive notification content, don't show notifications at all. And I had it on show all notification content because I've been dealing with it. But if I do hide sensitive notification content, then if I go to Pocket Casts, and I'm just going to press play to get going on that. All right, so I'm technically listening to a podcast. So there it is. And see,
content hidden, right?
So if I hold on to it and hit the eye.
Hit the little eye there.
All right, cut away, Bryan, so I can type in my PIN. There you go.
All right,
cool. All right, come back. So now... block, never show notifications, priority, show notifications top of the list, and keep them coming on the devices set to priority interruptions only. So
that it looks like that's dependent upon the app. So I'm looking at the Google Plus app, and I have block, priority, and sensitive for me.
Oh, interesting.
So apparently it's app specific.
So it's on the app level. So I need
Pocket Casts would have to.
The Pocket Cast developer needs to put in more hooks to have more control over what content.
Because I doubt that they want that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah,
and I'm not sure that anybody really wants to.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. Maybe there are bad podcasts that people don't want other people to know they're listening to or watching. But most people probably don't care. That's probably,
So that's just, but the thing is, like, these are the ways that we're figuring out how to use the device and walk with it. So,
so we're doing a little love-hate thing here. I would say that one of the things that I love, and it may seem like not a big deal. Here, let me disable Bluetooth so that I can show it, is the security features. Well, we've talked plenty of times about Smart Lock, which
Smart Lock's cool,
which is great because it it kind of detects that if my watch is connected to it, it bypasses my PIN.
It wanted to set up Smart Lock in my zip car, and I was like, no, don't do that. It's not my car.
I love the PIN entry screen. I know this sounds ridiculous. I fully realize it. But one of the things that I hated about older versions of Android is that you'd go to do your PIN, and it was this tiny little box down here, and it just didn't feel integrated. It felt like an afterthought. And now, I don't know. It's the smallest thing, I think.
Little things,
but
man.
you do this so many times when you have a PIN assigned to your phone, and having a nice kind of easy to use PIN entry for security. For some reason, every time I have to enter the PIN, I'm like, man, this is so much better than it used to be. It's so much better. One of the things that I can't stand in Lollipop is the ringer and volume management,
which I love.
Oh man, I hate it.
I thought it's great.
I hate it. I mean, I think there are positives, right? Yeah. So basically, what it is you can set it to none, so absolutely nothing gets through indefinitely or for however long. You can set it to priority, and that's based on priority settings that you can have inside an app, and that's great. That's programmable.
And you can change that. You can change that within messages per person and things like that.
Yep. And then you have all, which basically lets everything through. I think what I don't like about the volume management is it's not always clear exactly what's going to happen, particularly when I'm watching content. So say I'm laying in bed late at night, my wife's sleeping, sound asleep next to me, and I want to watch a YouTube video, but I want to make sure that the volume's down before I hit play. Yep. There is no easy way for me to do that from here, the way you used to get at least a settings icon. Going up and down before I hit that play, like I don't have those. I have to actually go into settings, go to sound, and do it there. And it's so many steps to...
That's a good point.
Why isn't that integrated anymore? I don't get it.
The lowest level on the volume rocker takes you to vibrate. It doesn't take you to off anymore.
Right.
Basically, what you need to do is if you need to go off, you go to none. You go to none, and then you've got to tell it for how long, indefinitely, or for an hour or whatnot. Right. So that's so in this case, here I am, and so I'm going to go boom, and I go none. And I can adjust how long that is. Yeah. I love this because nothing gets through and I can sleep and I don't get any. But then actually I was worried about the other night because I'm like, what if something happens?
Right.
Like, what if I need to get interrupted?
That's why I still use Agent.
Yeah, right. Yeah. See, but it's closer. It's neat. So
yeah. No, I shouldn't say that I hate everything about the ringer and volume management. I like parts of it. I think they were on the right track, but other parts of it are just more confusing. And I've been playing. I've been using Lollipop long enough that I feel like it's not like this knee-jerk reaction to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still confusing to me. It's better with this version than it was on the developer preview, so they worked some things out. But it kind of makes it almost too simple in some ways, and you don't have full control unless you dive into the settings. And for something that you're probably going to do a lot of, managing your volume on your device, probably should be a little bit easier than that. So, Derek, what do you think? What's your love and what's your hate on Lollipop?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm a huge fan of Smart Lock. But besides Smart Lock, I really like the heads-up notification. So if I'm, let's say, browsing a web page, or
at the top, right,
or playing a game or something, and then I get a phone call or I get a Hangouts message or a text message or something like that, it doesn't take over the whole entire screen just because I got a phone call. It just pops up, a little bar at the top of the screen, allowing you to answer the phone call if you want to answer it, or
hard to show off here.
Or you can swipe it away, if it's a message. And it just allows you to continue your work, whatever you're working on, without the focus being stolen. I mean, who's been playing a game or watching a video, and you get a phone call, you get a message or something, and it takes over your screen. It's not that big of a deal. It's just, slightly annoying, but it's nice that now that doesn't happen anymore. I love it. It happens all the time, and you don't have to deal with that pain anymore.
Well, that touches on one of my biggest enemies in technology, which the hate I built from it started in Windows, which was the stealing on focus. When you're working on something and something else pops up and takes away the focus of what you're working on, there's nothing more annoying than that, because it's the equivalent of just walking up to somebody and shoving them. And for some reason, in the early days of UIs, we did that all the time. Google still does it with Calendar. I use Gmail and I use Google Calendar. I use it all in the browser. When I have a meeting pop up, it steals focus, changes the tab to the calendar. It drives me nuts. And so I'm totally with you with those notifications. Not stealing that focus and letting you keep doing what you were doing is way smooth and super nice. So.
Now, lock screen notifications, Ron, you mentioned lock screen. Yep. Maybe it's just because I can't figure it out, but I love the lock screen notifications, but I swear I struggle every day when I get one to figure out how do I actually open it. Do I double click it? Do I swipe up? Maybe it's because I'm coming from the Moto X. I'm used to swiping up to read that notification. But when you have multiple ones, I don't know. I can't figure it out, and it's probably just me. And
do you use a thing? Do you use a pin lock? Do you use security on your phone?
I normally do, but Smart Lock takes it away. most of the time.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
it's what's funny is because I don't use smart lock and I've got a PIN, so it doesn't matter what I want to do. I got to put in the PIN number anyway, which I feel like kind of takes away the notification interaction. Like, like this is one thing that I hate having to use a PIN. I hate, because I think if it didn't, it'd be so much more smoother. But yeah.
I know what you're talking about, Derek. There are some times where I'll tap a notification and it doesn't quite launch into the app the way you think it's going to. It's like the notification bar just like bumps.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, now what? Oh, okay, I'll tap it again, but that does nothing. You have to like swipe it all the way in order to go. Yes, it can get confusing.
Do we miss lock screen widgets?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Derek?
Yeah, I never used them. I mean, maybe when they first came out, I was like, wow, look at all these cool lock screen widgets. You know, a month later, wow, I'm not using them anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I used them. You guys saw my big battery widget that I had on there on my Nexus 7. I mean, like I used that. I used a bunch of them, and so when I got the phone, I went to go set up all my lock screen widgets, and I was like, oh wait, they're not there anymore.
Nope.
Sad. So
sacrifice those for the baked-in version of notifications instead.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go.
I feel like there's more that we're gonna learn
over time. Yeah, but that's good. I'm happy you finally have your Lollipop.
I'm happy I have it too. I could stop I had my angry tweets to Google. What the hell? I'm a Nexus user. Why didn't I get it?
You're like, oh, that dude wrong again.
So.
You remember the Holy Cow guy? Yeah, him.
Yeah.
He. Speaking of Google Glass.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. Man, this show is going to go long today. I can already tell. Let's take a break and thank our sponsor for today. That is SmartThings. SmartThings lets you control and monitor your home from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. And I mean, it's a modular approach. It's super cool. They have all of these hardware components that you can tap into a hub, which we have right here. You can take a look at this hub. Oh, that's the instruction manual. You should probably read the manual. But here you go. This is the hub. So you connect this first and foremost. You can kind of see you've got the Ethernet port, so you connect it into your home network. And this hub is what allows you to control all of the other components that do cool things, with SmartThings. You can automate your lights, your appliances from wherever you happen to be. You can get alerts on leakages. If you have, that you want to stop a flood from happening, you can put a water sensor somewhere that's going to tell you if that's happening, and you can protect yourself. You can stay connected to your family, know when they're coming and going, get notifications if somebody tries to enter your home. You can use it as kind of a security platform. Just a ton of stuff that you can do with the SmartThings modular approach. With the SmartThings app, you can see what's happening in every room with all of your connected devices. It's kind of like having your home in the palm of your hand, wherever you happen to be. You're at the restaurant, you can monitor your home and see what's going on there, and just make sure that everything's okay. SmartThings app is free. Of course, it's available for iOS, Android, and Windows Phone. The really great thing about SmartThings is that the possibilities are literally endless. SmartThings family of smart sensors, which Ron has been showing off here, and outlets work with hundreds of popular connected devices. Logitech, Dropcam, Nest, Sonos, Philips Hue. If you're a developer, you can go nuts. You can create new ways to use SmartThings and then publish them for everyone else to use. SmartThings recently announced that in 2015, you'll also be able to control and automate a variety of Samsung appliances, refrigerators, washer dryers, air conditioners, even a robotic vacuum, all from your phone, hooked into the SmartThings hub. It's kind of crazy stuff.
It's the future.
Yep. To get started creating your smart home, visit smartthings.com/twit, and you'll save 10% off any home security or solution kit if you enter the code TWIT10 at checkout. For fans of TWIT, solution kits start at just $170. Home security kits start at $350. And it's a big discount right there. Each kit includes a SmartThings hub with everything you'll need to turn your home into a smart home in as little as 15 minutes. They make it super easy for you to get started. And it's just really cool hardware, well designed. And the possibilities are endless here. Use your imagination. You can come up with some really cool stuff. You'll also get free shipping within the U.S., so check it out. That's smartthings.com/twit. And remember, use the code TWIT10 at checkout. And we thank SmartThings for their continued support of All About Android and the TWIT network. It's a perfect fit. All right, let's dive into some hardware. Diving into hardware would hurt.
Diving into hardware would hurt. What wouldn't hurt would would be a hidden RGB LED on the Nexus 6.
Oh,
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So the Nexus 6, now that it's coming out, we got some more stuff being revealed about it. And this one is for you rooters out there. Not routers, rooters. First, there's an RGB LED light under the earpiece that is deactivated, except to tell you when your battery is low, apparently. You can enable the LED on a rooted Nexus 6 with the Light Flow app to do all other things that notification lights are good for. Secondly,
why wouldn't you want that?
I love
Why
LED
have a notification light that you don't?
So cool.
Yeah.
Secondly,
Get it.
double tap to wake was left off of the Nexus 6, but again, if you root it, you can get that capability back by installing any of the apps that have cropped up to enable that feature. So that's pretty cool. And Android Police has a neat little how to enable the double tap to wake on your rooted Nexus 6 that you might want to go check out there. But I like that. I like those little hidden features.
Have not gotten my. That
was my next question. I had what is the
shipping?
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Yeah,
Someone's showing it off.
This guy. So Derek, you got your order in day one, right? Play Store?
I ordered it 1:17 p.m. Eastern time.
On the very first day that it was offered through the Play Store.
Yes.
Okay, me too. Why'd you get yours? What did you do? What kind of voodoo?
Clearly, Google's decided.
Some backroom stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I lucked out.
Maybe
I
you've
didn't
heard.
try those. I don't know. My Nexus 6 isn't rooted, but I would love to double tap to wake. It's a huge phone, and I think the double tap is definitely something that I would like to have. I don't know why Google decided to remove the code. Maybe it wasn't ready for production use. Maybe we'll see it in a future version. I don't know, but
interference with active display,
right
maybe interference with active display, like if you double tap.
That's a good point. If you double tap and you accidentally kind of swipe up a little bit, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all I could think of. Well, I'm insanely jealous. The only thing that I can think of is that because I got the white variant, 64 gig model. I think there maybe the I don't know. I chatted with Google over the weekend.
Oh, I
said,
what
yes,
did Google
I
say
gave
to
it
you?
2 days. I gave it 2 days beyond. I gave it 2 days beyond the expected ship date. Yes.
Brian?
So
What does
painful.
chatting with Google look like these days? If one was to chat with Google, so Jason called, he picks up his phone and he dials 1-800-Google.
Boy, you're putting him on the spot right now.
No, it's right there. There it is. So
hello, Jason. You've reached Google Help Center. What seems to be the problem?
See, and I had no idea that I was speaking to him
You see,
on
if
the
you
other side of my
know,
chat
then you're
screen.
talking to Sundar.
Sorry, Jason, we can't handle that here. We're going to have to pass you off. So here's my next representative. Hey, Jason.
Wow,
Good to talk to you.
Are you even still with Google anymore?
Or Andy, he's in customer service now.
Oh, wow.
He's like Craig Newmark.
That's okay. He's like a multimillionaire. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure worse things could happen than to be now. Actually, customer service is pretty bad. Anyways, I chatted with them, and they basically said, yes, it's definitely going to go out on Monday. Yesterday, Monday.
That's good.
And when that's shipped, here's my email address. Send me an email and I'll refund you the shipping cost because I paid for next day. As of today, Tuesday, it has not gone out.
Wow. Promises.
Yes, that was clearly a Sunday morning chat to get back to family or something.
What I love is that on Monday there's some customer service managers like, who promised free shipping to all these people? Like, you're not authorized to do that. Like the Sunday crew is going crazy. Well, it might be a good thing that you don't have your Nexus 6 yet, though, according to the next story.
Well, Nexus 6 users are also complaining about disk encryption, which is activated by default on the device. I think that's a good thing. It's slowing down performance by as much as 62% in random read performance, 50% drop in write performance, and 80% drop in sequential read performance.
Ouch.
This discovered through AnonTech. Translated, full disk encryption negatively affects device performance even for those who don't use a security code, who wouldn't normally encrypt their device because it's just on by default standard. So even if you're not using a security code, you're still hit with this performance hit. And you have no choice but to use the device with this crippling in tow. Have you noticed any slowdown in this regard since you've gotten your device, received your device?
Every once in a while, I do notice a little slowdown, but I don't know.
Hard to know the cause.
Yeah, who knows? It's just overall it's fast. I mean, I don't like running benchmarks. I really don't. But overall it's fast, and I don't have a whole lot to complain about when it comes to actual speed. I mean, every once in a while, like I said, after 2 days I'll reboot it and it's fine. But there is for those of you that do want to remove encryption, if you unlock your bootloader, there is a method to remove encryption, and then you can relock your bootloader and be good to go. But chances are when an over-the-air update comes out, it'll overwrite that change, and you might have your device encrypted. So who knows?
Well, it does sound, I mean, there are a lot of people kind of reporting things around this encryption issue. So I'll be curious to see if this is something that can be fixed in an OTA or whatever.
And I said I'm not a hardware engineer, but from
Neither am I.
From what I've read, it sounds like Qualcomm had the 805 does have native hardware encryption built in, but Google's using software encryption. And some speculation was that could be because Qualcomm has been kind of a stickler in the past to get open source their drivers. Right. So maybe that was a reason they decided to go software instead of hardware encryption. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's just some speculation that I've read around the web the past few days.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see. When I get it next year, I'll let
Here's
you
the
guys
question:
know.
Do you regret the white? Like if you had your if you could turn back time.
If it could turn back time.
I love that song. Can I tell you?
Has a white one right now.
Sorry, everyone. We lost like 5 subscribers.
If
right
that
there.
doesn't make the best of, I don't know what does.
You guys both started at the exact same time too. Like were you sit there under the desk, right? Ready, one.
No, that was.
Listen,
it's a classic song, and I defy anybody not to know the words to the entire thing like I do.
Oh boy.
All right. Anyway, moving on.
Those are the only words I know.
Oh, I know the whole song.
Anyway, oh boy. Do I regret the white version? I mean, that's a hard question to answer. If I had the blue one, I'd probably have it by now.
Right, yeah.
So that would be nice. Yeah. Yes, like that guy.
Yeah.
However, I wanted to change things up, so maybe this is the price I pay. I do it to myself.
Yeah.
Apparently.
All right, well, moving on. So the Wall Street Journal had some interesting information about Samsung. For Samsung, it's not a good week. Apparently, the Samsung S5 sold fewer than they had expected. It's reported that it sold 40% less than expectations for the new device. According to the Wall Street Journal, the company is also considering an executive reorg in response to the poor performance this year. And now people are referring to the S5 as a flop. 40% fewer. That's a big percentage. That's how execs lose their jobs. That's how you get a shakeup there.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I didn't think the S5
is it
that big of a
flop
hit.
lot?
I mean, compared to the S4, I think it's a.
Yeah.
I feel I've had. I don't want to say I scooped the Wall Street Journal, but I've had this.
But you should, because
I've had this underlying feel. I didn't share it. I didn't write about it. I didn't talk about it.
Share.
I didn't talk. Yeah, but
didn't share.
But nice. But I've had this underlying feeling that the S5 hasn't had the same impact as the S4.
Yeah. That's true. Well, I mean, take a look at what we're dealing with as far as the landscape of Android devices now. Even compared to a year ago. A year ago, the HTC One was a big deal, and that's because there weren't a whole lot of other really well designed devices on the marketplace. Now, this year, it's a very different story. Moto X, I guess, was a big deal last year too, but it also had some sacrifices.
Sales numbers.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said a lot of people speculated it had some dismal sales numbers. The Moto X.
that's true. And I mean, as far as hero devices are concerned, it still wasn't spec'd at the top of the crop, even though many people considered it the best phone of the year.
Well, but here's
this year is different. This year they're everywhere. Right?
But here's also the thing though, is that the S4 came out April 2013, and the S5 came out April 2014, right? A year. And honestly, I think that a lot of people just didn't upgrade. I think what you had this huge boom in people using the S4, and I think that the hardware release schedule started to, because the natural normal people phone recycling is about 2 years, right? Because of the new every 2 and all those programs that the carriers have and things like that. So I think to have the same expectation for the S5 as the S4, when you've already converted millions to using the S4, you got to wait for them to get to the end of the road with that phone.
Yeah.
So, that's just me.
I believe you're right, Ron.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have been deemed right.
Somebody should call the Wall Street Journal.
We don't even need to put this to a vote.
I know. Done. Ding.
Yeah, that just came through on my watch. All right, so let's
Some hardware. Let's play with hardware.
Let's take a look at this right here, this Nexus hockey puck. This is the Nexus Player. I just got it. I plugged it in and set it up before this show, spent a half an hour with it, setting things up, playing a couple of games. I have the Nexus Player. I have the Asus controller, the gamepad.
Well, so it's probably important to note that this has been horribly reviewed.
It has not gotten very good reviews.
Derek, do you have one? Or have you played with one?
Yeah, I've had it. Sorry, Jason, I've had one for a few weeks now.
He's just one-upping you on everything. Derek, do you have kids? Are your kids talking and walking and driving before Jason's are?
You know what? My kids actually love the Nexus Player.
See, my kids hate the Nexus Player. They haven't had it yet.
Derek is the anti-Jason. Anyway, so Derek,
I'm never inviting you on the show again.
Is it awful?
I'll say for $100, it's not. I don't think so. So a lot of the reviews that came out about the Nexus Player gave it bad reviews the day that a major software update came out that supposedly fixed some performance issues. I took the OTA as soon as I got it. I haven't had any performance issues, since the over-the-air update. I use it every day. I don't have cable TV, so I use it every day for Hulu, for Netflix, for Plex, everything. And my kids use it for PBS shows and all sorts of stuff. We use it for basic gaming. My son and I play Skyforce 2014, which is an awesome game. Jason, you should check it out. I love that game.
It was in the arena last week.
Until last night. I'm actually not happy with my Nexus Player right now. I ran out of space. Google only gave it 8 gig of space. And that's insane when 3.5 gig is used up by the operating system. So that gives you 5.5 gig to play with. Well, Asphalt 8 is 2 gig itself. You get a couple games on there and you're done. I couldn't even update Netflix last night. 7 meg update, Netflix failed.
And there's no expandable memory, and there's no way to adjust that.
That's stupid. I'm sorry. I love the Nexus Player until I had to decide what game to delete so I could update Netflix.
Yeah.
But besides that, so for $100 in basic gaming, if you want to do, little games here and there, it's not going to replace your Xbox. It's not going to replace your PlayStation. But if you're someone like me that doesn't really game anymore and you just want to do, silly games from time to time, some, time killers, it's fine unless you get too many games and run out of space.
That's kind of a killer right there.
Yeah, it's got
8 gigs of storage with 3 of it being taken by system, leaving 5.
This
is a media device.
That's some Samsung math right there.
No, right. Just shy of half of that storage space is eaten up, and that wouldn't be a big deal if it was 16 or 32 gigs of storage, but it's 8. So that leaves you 5 to play with.
The AT1, the developer device that was given out at Google I/O. I don't know if you got one there.
Yes, I have one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the device we got at I/O had 16 gig.
Yep.
So they must have,
and Ethernet.
They must have wanted and it had a lot better processor, in my opinion.
And a better processor and Ethernet connection, which this only has Wi-Fi.
Slash something to hit that $100 price point. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was storage. That's a killer for me. I don't know. I'm disappointed in it.
I'd say that's a pretty big downside. I'm obviously going to be reviewing this on Before You Buy next week. Next week's review, twit.tv/BYB. So I'm going to play with it the next week and really kind of put it through its paces, particularly from the perspective of someone who has played with the ADT1 and can kind of compare it side by side. But man, storage issue. And, again, like I said, it wouldn't be an issue if you could load in additional storage and use that with, app storage and everything like that. But you can't. And 8 is just too little for a media consumption device. I understand Google loves their cloud, but making it a gaming device, which is largely what this is. It's like enable, gaming on your TV for $100. I think $100 is a lot to ask for a gaming system that you can only install 3 games before you have to start uninstalling them to install other ones. Like,
how
that's
much?
Just
how much
crappy.
more is another 8 gig? How much is 16 gig? I mean, like,
What could it have been? 119. And another $20 more for double the memory. I don't know.
Yeah. So we have the interface actually plugged in. We can take a look at it real quick before we move on here.
I'm getting black right now on that. Is it? Did it fall asleep or?
I hope not. It says it's on.
Oh.
Well, maybe I kicked it or something. Well, never mind. Maybe we don't have the interface. Oh no, I see.
Huh?
This is a case of my legs are too damn long.
I would just like to note that for $6.99 right now, I can go buy a 16 gig USB stick at Best Buy. So if they can get the price of 16 gig down to $7 for a USB stick, why couldn't they just add 8 gig more to this device? That's just,
So that
they
should be
really
true.
had to
There
try
we
to
go.
get it in impulse range, and if it's under $100, it's impulse, I guess.
So here we go. I've set it up. I've installed some games. I've logged into Netflix. I'm disappointed again to find that voice search doesn't scour Netflix. Why is that?
How do you
Okay, so
only
do your
does,
mic
like-
and do
you gotta
Walking
press
Dead.
the mic? Okay.
Press it. And Walking Dead.
Walking Dead?
Oh.
See, it didn't work. For some reason, my voice changes when I do voice search. I don't know why. All right, hang on. How do we back out of it? Did it freeze? There we go. Okay. Walking Dead.
It doesn't.
Thanks, Bryan.
It doesn't. That's a nice picture in picture. I like that. Uh-huh.
Lower. There you go.
It doesn't like you.
It doesn't like you.
It really doesn't like me.
I understand.
Does it work for you?
Here, let me try it through my Android TV app. Walking. Yeah, just, never mind.
Live demo. Welcome to the
See, so
live
I think you
demo.
could tell $100 is money well spent for the Nexus Player. No, it should respond to anybody's voice, but I don't know why it's not.
So the voice
Walking
search,
Dead.
as you were saying, only works with YouTube and Google Play Movies.
Yes.
Like it doesn't automatically crawl Netflix or Hulu or Plex if you have those apps installed. But if you hit one of those apps and they do have search, you can voice search from within the app. So it's not a total loss. But it'd be nice if it just searched everything.
Yeah, and Google's made a lot of hay about the fact that they're allowing developers to build in universal search into their apps. So I mean, you can do it right now with Google Now. You can do a search inside Tumblr, for example. If you activate a Google search using Google Now for Tumblr, and you have the Tumblr app installed on your phone, it'll fire into Tumblr and do a search and everything. Like, that's what I want here. I would want this to be the kind of thing where any media device, any media app that I have installed, Plex, Netflix, whatever, if I do Walking Dead, it doesn't just give me, oh, well, you can buy this on Play Movies, so you want to do that?
You've got
It
it.
should
in
be,
your Plex
oh,
library.
hey, I can actually just watch it for free through Netflix, the subscription service that I'm already paying for.
Back on Google TV, they had an app called Spotlight. Maybe Spotlight Player, just Spotlight. It searched everything. It let you know if you said Walking Dead, it would say, "Oh, you can get it from Amazon. It's on Netflix." It searched all the places available as well as live TV too. But I'm really surprised they didn't carry, that type of functionality over and limited it. Maybe it will change. Like Jason, you were saying, apps can now. Maybe search or Google Now can search within apps. Maybe we need to wait for developers to update their app with that functionality. I'm just surprised it's missing at launch either way.
Yeah, that Google TV app was called Primetime. And
Primetime,
I used
Spotlight,
it. I used it all the time because I would search for something and it'd be like, it's on Amazon. It's on, and then I could go find it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was Google Play. Sometimes it was Netflix. Sometimes it was Amazon. I was fine with it. So
It was just kind of my understanding that that's what this search was supposed to do.
well, you were
I was
you're
wrong,
misled.
apparently.
Yeah, you were.
Could you put it back on the screen for a quick second, Brian? I want to see where I'm at here. So, Goat Simulator.
Oh, geez, the goats. They're just gonna haunt me, aren't they?
Skyforce. By the way, this is a really great game, and if you haven't already, vote for it from last week's episode.
We got
just saying.
we got like 5 minutes. It's like-
But I'm just saying, it's on Android TV, so it's pretty
Just
awesome.
saying,
Just saying. But so I'm looking forward to using this as a gaming machine. But yeah, man, that storage aspect is kind of a bummer. Right? There we go. Because I think it's a pretty capable gaming machine when I can get it to start.
I think for on a casual gaming standpoint, though, I mean that's the
casual game.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think.
You got to set your expectations, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it wants
But
me
what's
to.
cool about this game? I don't know if you guys talked about it last week. I didn't watch the show. I apologize. But the fact that you can see people that are in your Google Play, Google circles, like you can fly over them and you can see where they're at in the game. Like where
that's
progressing
cool.
and
That's
stuff.
a good idea.
Yes, like if I had died like right there where Jason's at now, he would see like my little profile picture in the clouds as he's flying over me. So you can be like, aha, I just passed Derek. I'm doing better than he is.
Yep.
Like, it's really cool.
Brian, I think you should leave the lower third on there and then move it over Jason's plane.
Hey, man, how am I supposed to win this game and last week's arena if you're... Come on now.
Excellent.
What I like is the lower third plus the camera in front of the TV. It's just like we're trying to make this
man.
hard for Jason.
Thanks. Game over, man. Game over.
Game over, man. Game over.
Fine. Has potential,
Yes.
needs work.
Well, I'm jealous because you know what? Anytime there's a device that I can plug into my TV, I want to plug it in. And
only $100.
I know but it's the holidays, and
Yeah.
I need a new tablet, and I still haven't gotten a round watch yet.
Yeah. Oh, you're one of those?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, for
yeah.
right now,
Like one of those
Chromecast.
barbarians with a square watch.
I know, jeez. But right now, I mean, the Chromecast is Plex is doing the job for me. That's all I need. So
Yeah, I will be curious. That was one of my complaints with the ADT1 is I wanted to replace my Chromecast with it, but it had these power fluctuation issues where it would just become unresponsive or it would just turn off and I'd have to go back to it. And, whereas Chromecast is always just plugged in and waiting and pretty much flawless for me in my experience from that perspective. Hopefully the Nexus Player is, but not having the Ethernet, then suddenly I'm there, right? And I'm back in the Wi-Fi world, and the ADT1 had the Ethernet, so that was a nice bonus. So
Ethernet is not. I will always just put an Ethernet port on there if it's a box.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've got the whole home entertainment thing, and I've got it wired.
The
and I can do
cables
that.
are hidden. It's cool.
Like Chromecast makes sense, but give me an Ethernet port. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some apps
Let's do it. Apps. Boom. Right now. Go.
or
Oh.
app rather
App.
or
Yeah,
app
pretty much.
services.
Just waiting to see how long you guys would go.
Sure you were, Brian. How's your game doing over there?
Not too bad after that lower third incident.
All right, so quick update on Google Play Services 6.5. The folks at Android Police did their APK teardown and had some interesting observations. Android Auto SDK is out, and devs are hard at work on making their apps auto-compatible with audio and messaging functions. Only at this point, the APK hints that sharing of data collected from the car to be integrated into Android Auto at some point. So that's interesting. So Google
Nice.
Play Services laying the groundwork for the Android Auto.
That would be cool, getting
Yeah.
like stats and stuff pulled from your performance of your car.
Yeah, and something for the Jasons of the world. Kid accounts is being prepared, which is someday include the ability to set time limits, usage times, bedtime messaging, and control by the way of the Android device manager. So
like that.
layering in not only different user profiles, but specifically kid profiles with different functionality, which I find very
actually like
interesting.
that a lot.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
excited for that too.
If only they had purchasing limits or some sort of Play Store blocking, so you wouldn't get all the princess apps.
Thankfully,
it's
I don't
on
have
her
to look at the
profile.
princess apps
Yeah, exactly.
now because they're.
Just out of sight, out of mind at this point now. So yeah.
It would be nice though to place limits on that profile, and it actually would be nice to be able to restrict natively from Google, be able to restrict my kid from even installing free apps.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, she'll sit down and be like, I wanna play a game, so I'll give her my phone, and then
She'll play the Play Store game.
Yes, she plays the Play Store game of, oh, that's a pretty picture, I'll install that. Oh, that points to this one. I like that picture, I'll install that. And then suddenly there's like 20 new things on there. I'm like, have you played anything?
Yep.
It's like, well, she
that's
has.
where screen pinning comes in with Lollipop. You give your kid the device
Good
and
point.
you pin the screen on that game and say, here you go, and that's all they can do.
That's a really good point.
I haven't done that yet. But,
Yeah.
I'm going to take my own advice and try that.
Although being locked to one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work for my daughter, but that's a really good point. I bet that's one way around it for now.
So last week we had some hate towards the calendar.
Well, we just got a lot of people that were saying, hey, the Google Calendar app does have a month view. In fact, Jason wrote in, one of many people that I heard of, saying the new material design calendar app by Google does show month view. You just have to tap the month at the top of the screen. Attached are 2 pictures of November and December screenshots showing the month. So if you show the gallery that's next to that post, you'll see the 2 posts that Jason added to the email. And you can kind of see what, I'm just dancing right now. You kind of see.
Oh, Bryan, it just leaves you hanging.
It's okay. So what he was talking about is you tap the November thing and then it pulls down the month view. This is different from what it was in the past, and I think it's less useful because basically what it does is it takes your current view and pushes it down below the month view, so it's like you see both, and that's okay. The next link is an image of the old month view, and I actually thought this was really useful. When you go into the other one, you got the kind of list, and maybe it's not as pretty because it's not as minimal, but this was the month view that I used. If I wanted to look at a month view, I would get this, and I'd be able to very quickly at a glance go, oh, that's a holiday, that's Thanksgiving, or whatever. You know what I mean?
I've got a busy day on the 1st, but I'm light on the 2nd.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more useful. So I understand. So I guess everybody's right?
Right.
Ron's complaint was that they didn't have this kind of month view, and everybody else's complaint is that, hey, there is a month view there. It's just
not the kind you were looking for.
It's the calendar, but it's not a month. I mean, it's a month view, but it's not a calendar of what you have on those days.
I think Ron's complaint was valid.
I think so.
Because it's not a one-to-one.
Right.
Yeah, so.
I think so.
And his other complaint was that you couldn't have a 7-day week. It's only a 5-day week.
Yeah. That kind of sucks too. So there you go.
I agree with Ron.
Yeah.
Interesting. Brian's on your side.
I feel like that's
Ron.
Well, not
The other Ron.
If Ron was here, he'd be thankful.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Ron A.
All right.
Ron A.
Let's go to the arena.
Let's do it. Arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
It's so smooth. I enjoy that on that instant.
Yeah. So smooth.
So.
Okay, so last week, episode 188.
Yes.
Let's see here. Did my last minute plea work?
No, sir.
Dang, but it was close. I kept hoping that Skyforce would come out on top.
It's a cool game. I did download it. It was fun.
It's a lot of fun.
But it's
a really
huge,
great
and I
game.
then deleted it. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know why I didn't know I deleted it? Because I like to listen to podcasts while I'm commuting, and I like to play games. I could do that with the Tower, which came in third. But the audio from Skyforce, there's no way to turn it. Like it would take over. I couldn't listen to my podcast and play the game at the same time.
Oh.
There was no audio controller. I couldn't find it or whatever, so I deleted it. So
Oh.
anyway, but it came in second.
Okay.
Today calendar came in first.
Today calendar came in first, so that's one win for the guest.
Yeah. So at this point,
In the guest column.
I'm fine with losing to the guests. By the way, the more guests that win, it works in my favor.
I suppose so.
So as of this week, thanks to Wade County in the chat room for keeping track, through week 46. Guests have won 8 times. Jason has won 10 times, and Gina and I are tied at 14 each.
Oh man, I'm so out of the running.
Yeah.
But you guys are tied now.
We're tied. 14,
Man, it could really go either way.
It really could.
All of your picks are really important at this point.
I know. Great, which is why I'm so glad that I got to go with my first pick this week. But that said,
well, of those of us that are here right now,
does that mean I have to go first?
That means you have to go first.
Okay, so well, as I alluded to, we had a little discussion before the show started about the statute of limitations on an app that's already been picked, and if it's been redesigned with material design, if that's enough to get in. As of right now, the rules are you cannot. So I'm not trying to.
Curious to know what people think. So up until now, it's been a hard and fast rule. If it's been in the arena before, no re-entry.
No re-entry.
Because the arena is about discovering new apps. But, some apps were on the show a couple of years ago, and they are much different now, particularly with material design being such a different design language. So curious to know what you guys think. AAA@twit.tv. Let us know what you think. Do you mind if old apps appear? And if so, what is the statute of limitations?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious to know. But that said, enough of my campaigning for an app that I'm not even using. The app I found is one I found a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was funny, and it fell into my kind of like, oh, here's an app that I never even thought of that I would ever need, but actually has a pretty good use case. And it's called Potential, and it's in beta, so Potential beta. And basically what it is it allows you to keep track of your battery levels across all your devices. So actually, just by looking through one app, which I thought was funny, and actually first thought of our friend Mateo, who's a tester, who probably has many different phones and tablets and things like that. Basically, what you can do is you log in and you log into the app, and then you install the app on every one of your devices and log into it, and it just gives you a rundown of all your applications and what their battery level is. And if for some reason you are not you don't have access to a device and the battery's running low on it, you can make adjustments like turning off Wi-Fi or turning off Bluetooth to help conserve battery power, and also use Potential to give you a warning of when you might need to charge your device or whatnot. So I have got it installed here, and let me log into my app, into my phone. So open it up, and I've already registered. And so here you see that I've got my Gwatch, and I've got 67% battery on that. My Nexus 5, which is the device I'm using here, I got 58% battery. I've got Wi-Fi off, but Bluetooth is on. And my Nexus 7, which is right here as well, running the app, is got 91% battery. Wi-Fi is on, Bluetooth is off. So if for some reason the Nexus 7 was down to like 10 or 15% and I was worried about it dying, I could just turn off Wi-Fi, and it will turn off Wi-Fi on the device itself too, which is pretty neat.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So interesting, and that's all it does. But what's interesting is that the G-Watch, I never look to see what the battery level is on that. I can't tell you how many times I put it on, I see I've got 5% battery left. I'm like, I should have charged it. Or my Nexus 7, which I often use to take to the gym to watch video and stuff on, I can never remember to throw it on the charger. I just kind of leave it in my bag or whatnot. And this is a great one place if you've got multiple devices running Android, and you want one place to just kind of keep track of the battery levels. There you go. Especially if you are, have got numerous tablets or Chromebook devices or anything like that. It's a centralized place. Keep track of your battery. Get a notification when you need to charge it. That's all it is. It's free in the Google Play Store. You can register up to 2 devices. They have in-app purchases for $1.99 if you want to add more than 2 devices. And no ads, completely lean, just very simple. It helps the developers keep the app running smoothly. It's in beta, and so far it's been running okay. I know Jab in the chat room is saying sounds like a battery hog. It has not hogged my battery at all. So yeah, so there you go. Potential.
There's potential.
My first thought is what's the battery life impact? But if you say you haven't noticed anything, that's good.
Yeah, no, I've been running it for a little longer than a day, and I haven't noticed it in either of them. So yeah,
good.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Potential beta has potential.
Yeah.
All right, Derek, you are up next. I'll show it off on my tablet here.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Avia. It is a media player app. They just recently actually updated the app to add additional support for more devices. We were talking about the Nexus Player earlier, which has casting ability. Well, Avia initially only had Chromecast support. Well, their latest update actually adds Roku devices, which Rokus are very, very popular. They also add support to cast to Apple TV and WebOS. But the biggest thing about Avia that makes the app really nice for a lot of people is it's DLNA enabled. So if you have a DLNA server with a bunch of music or pictures or movies on your computer or another Android device for that matter, maybe you're not somebody that has a whole bunch of data out in the cloud. Well, Avia will be able to tackle that for you. And the latest update updated the design language a little bit, added some new iconography throughout the app, made it a little more modern, a little more hollow. But yeah, it's a great app for casting all the things to your big screen. Now, the app is free in the Google Play Store, but if you want to cast to, like I said, all the WebOS, Roku, Apple TV, Chromecast, and so forth, you actually need to buy the app, and that's going to be $4.99, which is about the same price as other apps with a similar functionality. So that's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, if you're somebody that has a lot of local media and you don't live in the cloud, VIA is definitely something to check out.
Awesome. So this can stream from your local server as well.
Right? I forgot to mention there, whenever you were going through the screen there, another benefit is if you have tons of Facebook photos, or photos stored, on Google Plus or your Google Photos, Picasa, you can stream those too, cast those too, to your TV as well. So all the Facebook photos or videos, if someone's a big Facebooker, you can put those up on the big screen for the whole family to watch.
Oh, nice. Excellent. So this is Avia, A-V-I-A.
Avia is cool.
Player.
I've used it before. That's fun.
Nice.
I should note one quick footnote to Potential.
Yes, back to Potential.
There's also a Chrome extension that allows you to monitor your device's battery level from your browser.
That makes it
nice.
even a lot better.
That's pretty cool, right? I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry because I was hurrying. But yeah, so you install the Chrome extension, you log in, you can see what your phone's battery is at, your tablet's battery is at, all that sort of stuff. So
nice.
Okay.
Excellent. All right.
You're going back to the device.
I went. You can go ahead and throw the Android TV up on the screen because that's where my app, game.
This is a last-minute swerve, by the way. As of 2:30 today, this was not the app he was choosing.
I honestly had no idea what I was going to do this week, and the one I had in there was kind of like, I guess I could do this. Instead, I chose to go in the retro world and go with Double Dragon Trilogy. If you've never played Double Dragon before, it's an old classic game, I'd say, back in the Nintendo, the NES days.
Classic.
And apparently it's not loading. It was for me earlier.
I mean, it's great. The way the game renders the blacks is just like the black next level.
It's even better than black. It's
none more black.
It's none more black, exactly. So it's not loading, huh?
Did you kick the cable again? Or?
Kick the cable. That's another app that we were gonna do.
Wait, maybe it crashed or something.
No, I didn't. So I think what we're realizing today is that the Nexus Player has issues.
Nexus Player might not be ready for the arena.
Apparently, it's not. Come on, this worked for me at my desk. Seriously, Nexus Player.
I've played the game before.
It might be something with our setup.
I haven't seen that.
I don't know why it would though. Why everything else would play, but not Double Dragon? Double Dragon, you don't love me, Double Dragon, and I don't love you anymore. Actually, not true. I do love Double Dragon Trilogy, but I can't show you how awesome I am at it.
Is there screenshots or something? Can we show it in the Play Store?
Yeah, you can show it in the Play Store.
Right.
Boring.
It's a classic game.
Is there a video?
Except in this case, it's 3 games, and you can play it, and you can remember what it was like. You walk along, and it has awesome sounds like "whoo" when you kill somebody. And
let's see some video.
Okay, I think this is a good idea. .emu really has a slam dunk with their Android TV port. Yeah. I mean, this is not the same. Nope. Okay, we'll see. So here you are.
That doesn't look like a Nexus Player.
Well, that's a little old. Boy.
That looks like a tablet.
You got Double Dragon 1, you got Double Dragon 2, you got Double Dragon 3. There's an arcade mode or a story mode and 3 difficulties. And it was a lot of fun at my desk a couple of hours ago.
I used to play this game in this Double Dragon 2 in the arcade for hours.
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
And they actually remixed the music. So the music isn't exactly the same as it is in the arcade. It's kind of got a more modern feel to it. And see, it has gamepad support when you can get your Nexus Player working. And achievements.
Challenging achievements to unlock.
They're challenging the achievements. You can play with a friend in co-op.
This is a sad arena week. Gina would be ashamed.
I think one of you guys is going to win this week, which is such a bummer.
Do you want to try it one more time?
Yeah, is it powered back up? Okay,
powered back up.
Okay, we'll see. Oh, so you got to sync
you
it?
Yeah.
And then you go down.
Let's just watch Wreck-It Ralph.
I can hear noises. That's good. And then Double Dragon.
Oh, right. Oh. Yeah. All right.
So now you can see how awesome I am at this
Thank
game.
you to whoever in the chat room who suggested rebooting it.
That was obviously the right call.
Yes.
All
right, here we go.
Okay, so
there
see, you've got all three. Yeah, this is. I feel like I need to do a do-over, but this is just going to have to be. So you can play local multiplayer. I wish I had brought my other controller because then you and I could play in different difficulty levels.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and do this and see. She gets kidnapped, and then I come out and I kick butt.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Yeah.
There you go.
See? Yeah. Awesome. It's doing a little skippy
A
thing.
little laggy.
Yeah, Nexus Player, you're disappointing me all over the place.
Well, it's on Wi-Fi, so.
What's on Wi-Fi? Oh,
The device, yeah.
well, yeah. Okay, anyways. Yes, it's a fun game. I hate getting deflated on arena picks.
Sorry,
Don't
man.
you hate that?
Sorry,
You
yeah.
come in like all geared, and we've all been there.
Oh yeah, no. Let's not forget when Miriam was on the show a couple weeks ago with the title.
Just feel like you're getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right.
You think you got something, and you enter. No one that hasn't been in the arena will understand the pressures of the arena.
The arena is rough. The arena it's a tough place to be.
When your demo fails,
Yep.
you can literally feel your heart beating in your toes because it just drops.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll see how this goes. AAApoll.com/189, and you can vote for your favorite app in this week's arena. Is it Potential Beta, Avia Media Player, or Double Dragon Trilogy?
I don't think the link is active.
Oh, that's because I haven't.
Yeah.
I got two.
So you
me a
can
break
vote for
here.
your favorite app as you can every week. And keep in mind that you might want to monitor your battery's performance when you're playing Double Dragon all the time.
Continue?
Oh, I wish that I could, but I'm doing a show right now, Double Dragon. Okay, you can try the link now-ish, and it'll
Yes,
work.
there we go. AAApoll.com/189.net.
Oh boy.
Nah. Just kidding.
Don't confuse the folks. There you go. Vote. Let your voice be heard. And sign up for Google Plus, apparently.
Can't do it through my
Bryan.
work account.
No, not going to work. Not going to work. So that is it for this week.
Thank God.
Boy, this is mostly good.
Mostly good. No, it was
Had
great.
issues. And might I add, the issues seem to all revolve around the Nexus Player.
They did, yeah. It's true, yeah. And we had Derek, which is awesome. So
Yeah. Derek, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So this is the part of the show where you get to talk about anything you want, what you're working on, where people can find you, your favorite color.
Well, I am working on a Nexus Player review. Unfortunately,
I'm curious to know how that
the
goes.
Nexus Player, besides storage, I haven't had any issues. So I'll be putting that out here next few days. Then a few days later, got my Nexus 6 review to follow. You can check those out on Fandroid.com. And you can follow me around the internet on Google Plus at +Derek Ross or on Twitter at Derek M. Ross.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Derek.
Favorite color? Red. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I would have thought green for some reason. I don't know.
I have too many green Android things around.
Yeah,
I don't know. I got to
understand.
spice it up a little bit, I guess.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Ron, what about you?
yes, interesting thing that might happen in the arena. You might get some pity votes.
Well, that, that
You know,
does happen.
You've got the retro kind of people who remember Double Dragon and like it, and then people might feel bad. I don't know. You never know because right now it's winning.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So there you go.
I'll take it.
If you enjoy me and my shenanigans, go to about.me/RonXO where you can find all the links to my social media, Google+, Instagram, Twitter, all the fun stuff. And by day, I'm at imagecomics.com where we make some of the best comic books in the world. Ask anybody. And if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area in January, you should come to Image Expo on January 8th where you get to meet Brian K. Vaughan, Todd McFarlane, Scott Snyder, some amazing comic guests, one-day event, Image Expo. It's going to be awesome. Tickets are still available, so get yours now.
Act now.
Act now.
Cool. Sounds good. Brian, what about you, sir?
Well, you can follow me on Thursdays doing Know How with Padre. Although this coming Thursday we'll be enjoying Thanksgiving, so
That's right.
I suggest everyone in the audience does the same. But otherwise, you can follow me on Google Plus at google.com/Bryan Burnett.
Excellent. And you can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. You can find music at yellowgoldmusic.com. I haven't really updated the site, although I have started working on new stuff. Who knows when anything will be released? It's going to be a long time because I don't have a lot of free time anymore. Best ofs, working on best ofs. You can go to twit.tv/best of and submit your favorite moments, not just of All About Android, but all the shows on the Twit network. I'm working on Twit, Mac Break Weekly, This Week in Google, All About Android. I have a lot of work to do, and the more information you can give me and other editors on your favorite moments, the easier our jobs are, because we already have a mountain of stuff to do to prepare for these shows. So please help us out. Twit.tv/best of. Any information you have is a big help. And that is it for this week. Oh, also, twit.tv/arena. Check out my other show. There you go. That's it for this week. Leave us a voicemail at 347-SHOW-AAA. You can send us an email at AAA@twit.tv. We're on Twitter. We're at Android Show. We're also on Google+. We have a community there as well as an account. I know it's kind of confusing, but go to the community page. You'll see this week's poll right at the top, pinned there. And we have a subreddit, twitaaa.reddit.com. We have a web page for the show, of course. It's twit.tv/AAA. You'll find all of our past episodes there and show notes for the show. And then, of course, check YouTube and iTunes for past episodes as well. And you can catch us live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, live.twit.tv. That is it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android.